All right, if you're gearing up for your boards or the NEET exam, you know that Chapter 8 is an absolute giant. It's packed, it's crucial, and you can bet it's going to be on your test. So, over the next few minutes, we're going to do a high-speed, deep dive into the absolute must-know concepts from human health and disease. No fluff, just the core stuff you need. Let's jump in.
So here's our game plan. We're kicking things off with the absolute basics, what health and disease really are. Then we'll get into our body's amazing defense system. We'll explore the difference between active and passive immunity, see what happens when things go wrong with disorders like AIDS, then shift gears to cancer, and finally we'll tackle the super important topic of drug abuse. It's a complete tour of the chapter's heavy hitters.
Okay, first up, health and pathogens. Now I know this seems pretty basic, but listen, do not sleep on this part. The NCERT gives a super specific definition of health that is a favorite for examiners, so you've got to know it.
You're going to want to burn this sentence into your brain. Health is not just about not being sick. It's about complete physical, mental, and social well-being. It's this whole package deal. This holistic view is a core concept, and you can almost guarantee you'll see it pop up.
So if health is that state of complete well-being, what messes it up? Well, a lot of the time, it's these guys, pathogens. This is the official name for any organism that causes disease. Whether it's a bacteria, a virus, a fungus, you get the idea.
And the NCERT gives us this incredible, and honestly kind of scary, real-life story to show how pathogens get around. The case of Typhoid Mary is just perfect. She was a cook, a carrier of typhoid, but had no symptoms herself. It's a powerful lesson in how sneakily a bacterial pathogen like Salmonella typhi can spread.
Okay, seriously, pause and take a screenshot of this slide. This table is pure exam gold. For NEET, these match the following questions are everywhere. Let's break it down. For typhoid, you have to connect it with Salmonella typhi and the Whittle test for confirmation. For the common cold, the key detail is that rhinovirus hits the respiratory passage, and, this is important, not the lungs. With malaria, remember that the recurring chills and fever are because of a toxin called hemazoin. You absolutely have to know these pairs.
So, with all these pathogens constantly trying to invade, how are we not just sick all the time? Well, that's because our body has this incredible multi-layered army called the immune system. Let's get into how it works.
So our first line of defense is what we call innate immunity. This is the general, non-specific system we're born with. Think of it like a fortress with 4 layers of defense. You've got your physical walls, like skin. You've got physiological moats, like stomach acid. You have cellular guards, our white blood cells, that literally gobble up invaders. And finally, you've got cytokine alarms, like interferons, that scream intruder alert to other cells.
And what's really key to understand, as this visual shows, is that these 4 barriers aren't just doing their own thing. They are a coordinated, powerful first wall of defense. This is our body's 24/7 security detail, taking care of threats before we even realize they're there.
But what happens when a really tough pathogen breaks through that first line? Well, that's when we call in the special forces, our acquired immunity. This is the SMART system. It's specific to each pathogen, and its superpower is memory. The first time it sees an enemy, it learns how to fight it. But if that same enemy shows up again, our B cells and T cells launch a secondary response that's way faster and way stronger. That memory changes everything.
All right, let's move on to a classic exam favorite. This is a concept they love to test you on, the difference between active and passive immunity.
You've got to nail down this distinction. With active immunity, your body is the one doing the work. It sees a threat, either from a real infection or a vaccine, and it learns to produce its own antibodies. It takes a while, but it's long-lasting because it creates those memory cells. Passive immunity, on the other hand, is like calling for backup. You're given ready-made antibodies. It works super fast, but it's only temporary because your body never learned to make them on its own. And if you need the perfect textbook example of passive immunity, this is it, colostrum. That first milk a mother produces is loaded with IgA antibodies. It gives a newborn immediate ready-made protection while its own immune system is still booting up. This is a very, very common question, so lock it in.
So our immune system is our protector, right? But what happens when it makes a mistake? When it goes haywire? That's when we get immune system disorders, like allergies, autoimmunity, or immunodeficiency diseases like AIDS. Let's focus on AIDS for a moment. It's so important to get this right. The disease is AIDS, and the cause is HIV.
the human immunodeficiency virus. And what makes HIV so devastating? It's a retrovirus that goes straight for the command center of our immune system, the helper T lymphocytes. It attacks the very cells meant to lead the charge against infections.
And you have to understand how it pulls this off. HIV is like a hijacker. It gets into a host cell, and then it uses this special enzyme called reverse transcriptase to rewrite its own RNA code into the cell's DNA. Once that happens, the host cell is no longer working for you. It's been turned into a non-stop HIV factory. These new viruses then burst out and hunt down even more T cells, leading to the collapse of the immune system.
Okay, we've been talking about invaders from the outside. Now, let's talk about a major disease that starts from the inside, from our own cells: cancer. At its heart, it's a disease of runaway cell growth.
So what is it that makes cancer so incredibly dangerous? It's this one word right here: metastasis. This is when malignant tumor cells break off, travel through the bloodstream or lymphatic system, and set up new tumors in other parts of the body. This ability to spread is what makes it so tough to treat.
And this picture shows you the difference perfectly. On one side, you have a benign tumor. It's contained, it stays in one spot. But on the other side, you have a malignant tumor. It's invasive, it breaks through boundaries and can spread throughout the body. That's the critical difference.
So what can cause a normal cell to turn cancerous? We call these triggers carcinogens, and they generally fall into three buckets. You have physical agents like X-rays and UV rays. You've got chemical agents like the stuff in tobacco smoke. And you also have biological agents. Yep, some viruses can cause cancer, and we call those oncogenic viruses.
All right, we're on to our last major topic from the chapter, and it's an incredibly important one. We're talking about the risks and dangers of drug and alcohol abuse, especially during that critical period of adolescence.
And here's another one of those high-yield tables. For your exam, you need to connect the dots: drug class, source plant, and effect. First, opioids from the poppy plant, Papaver somniferum. Think heroin. These are depressants. Second, cannabinoids from cannabis sativa, which primarily affect the cardiovascular system. And third, coca alkaloids from the coca plant, like cocaine. These are powerful stimulants. Know that chain. This is another one of those key distinctions you've got to get right: addiction versus dependence. The easiest way to think about it is this: addiction is psychological. It's the mind's craving for that feeling. Dependence is physical. It's when the body has adapted and freaks out with withdrawal symptoms if the drug is taken away. Mind versus body.
And that's our whirlwind tour of human health and disease. We've covered a ton of ground. But let me leave you with this final thought. All this knowledge, it isn't just to help you ace an exam. It's a user manual for your own body. So the real question is, how are you going to apply this to make better, healthier choices in your own life? Think about it. All the best with your prep.